cat always seems to be passed out. I don't know. We're trying to find some life.
Okay, so we've got these sources you sent about the Elisa Lam case, and wow, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah,
A young woman goes missing, and then they find her body in a water tank
in a water tank
on the roof of a hotel.
on the roof.
It's like something you'd see in a movie, you know?
Right. It's almost unbelievable.
It really is. And we've got these excerpts from Wikipedia, plus this article called Elisa Lam, Inside Her Baffling Death at Los Angeles' Cecil Hotel.
Yeah, it's a pretty in-depth piece.
Yeah, it seems like it. So where do we even start with this?
Well, I think what really gets people about this case is how it grabbed everyone's attention
Oh, yeah.
worldwide, you know? There's something about the circumstances, the location, all those unanswered questions.
Yeah, and the Cecil Hotel, you can't talk about this case without talking about the hotel, right?
Right. It's almost like it's a character in the story.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just any hotel, it's got a reputation.
Oh, I know.
You know, even if you weren't into true crime, you've probably heard of the Cecil.
It's notorious.
It's notorious. We're talking suicides, murders,
Right.
like a lot of them.
Serial killers.
Serial killers, yeah, like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker,
And Jack Underraker.
the Vienna Strangler, yep. It's almost like the hotel itself like absorbed some of the darkness, you know?
Yeah, and this is where Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old Canadian student, ends up
Yes, dude.
during a solo trip to the U.S. West Coast. Can you imagine, like, checking into a hotel and then finding out about all that?
I mean, it's got to be unsettling,
Oh, yeah.
right? I think that's part of what makes it resonate with people. It plays on our fears, right?
Absolutely.
Like, what if that was me
Right, exactly.
in that hotel?
Okay, so before we get into, like, the whole disappearance and everything, let's talk about Elisa. What do we know about her?
Well, she was, you know, a young woman.
Let's see.
She had this blog, and from what you can gather from it, she was really into fashion, literature, travel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Get the sense she was creative, expressive.
Really wanted to see the world, it sounds like.
Yeah, she was eager to experience it all.
And she was in contact with her family, right? During the trip.
Oh, yeah, very much so. She was calling her parents.
Oh, wow.
Like almost every day back in Canada. Sharing what she was doing, what she thought of the places she was seeing.
So everything seemed normal?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Until January 31st, 2013.
Okay.
That was the day she was supposed to check out of the Cecil.
Head to Santa Cruz.
Yep,
And that's when she vanished.
that's when she vanished.
And the last time anyone saw her was at that bookstore, right?
The last bookstore, yeah.
The last bookstore, right?
The owner remembers her being there, said she was outgoing, friendly, not acting strange or anything.
So we have this young woman, she's enjoying her trip, she's talking to her family, and then gone.
Whoa.
It's like a nightmare.
It really is.
And then a few weeks later, the LAPD, they released this video, and it just,
Oh, the elevator footage.
Yeah.
Gave people chills, man.
it's creepy, even knowing what, you know, right?
Knowing what happened.
It's still hard to watch.
It is.
You see her in there, alone, but she's acting so strange.
Yeah.
Pressing all the buttons, stepping in and out of the elevator.
It's like she's hiding from someone.
Or like she's seeing things, you know.
The sources said she had bipolar disorder.
Yeah, and depression.
Could that be what we're seeing in the video?
I mean, it's possible, right? Bipolar disorder, it can manifest in a lot of ways. Some people, they have these episodes with psychosis, hallucinations, delusions, you know.
So she could have been having a psychotic break in the elevator.
It's a possibility. But then that just raises more questions.
Right. Like, how did she get,
How did she end up on the roof?
and how did she get into the water tank?
The video is a piece of the puzzle, but it's like, it creates more questions than it answers.
It really does. It's like
Yeah.
a snapshot,
Mhm.
but we don't know what led up to it.
Or what happened after.
Yeah. And then the autopsy,
Yeah.
they said it was accidental drowning.
Accidental drowning. With bipolar disorder as a factor, but how do you accidentally drown in a water tank?
Especially one that's supposed to be locked.
Right, like inaccessible to guests?
It doesn't make sense. That's
Yeah.
the thing, isn't it? The rooftop at the Cecil, it was a restricted area.
Locked doors, alarms, all that.
Right. So even if she was, let's say, having a manic episode, it's still, how did she get past all that?
Yeah, like she didn't just wander up there. Someone would have seen her.
Right. You'd think so. And that's what's so strange. There's no evidence of like forced entry or anything.
The police, they did a full investigation, right?
Yeah, a thorough one and nothing. No signs that anyone else was involved.
So no struggle, no foul play.
Like she just disappeared.
And then reappeared in the tank.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
And to make it even weirder, the autopsy report It says she was found naked
Naked?
with her clothes floating in the water. And they found her watch and room key in there too.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack.
Okay, so if she wasn't forced into the tank, why would she take her clothes off? And how did she even get inside? Those things are heavy.
Right. With those lids, it's not easy to open them.
Let alone close it from the inside.
Exactly. It would have taken a lot of effort to get in, and even more to close it again, like you said.
So if it wasn't foul play, and it's obviously super strange, what are we left with?
A lot of unanswered questions.
And theories, right. I've seen them online.
Oh yeah, tons of them.
People saying the elevator video was tampered with, that there's missing footage.
Or that it's, paranormal activity.
Theists, hauntings, all that.
The Cecil's history doesn't help with that.
Right, but honestly, I'm more interested in the facts. What about the toxicology report? Did they find anything that could explain her behavior?
Well, it didn't show any drugs or alcohol, other than her medication for bipolar disorder.
Okay, so no surprises there.
So, while we can't rule out something else being in her system, it looks like her mental state was a big factor.
But even if she was having an episode, how does that explain her ending up in a locked water tank?
That's what everyone's trying to figure out.
Even the investigators?
Yeah, even with knowing about her bipolar disorder, it just doesn't add up.
It's like we're missing something, a piece of the puzzle.
Exactly, something that would make it all make sense.
And I think that's why people are still so drawn to this case.
It's that feeling of, incompleteness.
Yeah, like there's more to the story.
And we may never know it.
What about the lawsuit? Her parents sued the hotel, right?
They did. They said the hotel was negligent, didn't secure the rooftop properly.
So they could have prevented it.
That was their argument. But the hotel, they said they couldn't have known she'd end up in the water tank.
So they're blaming her, saying it was her fault because of her mental state.
It's a tough stance to take.
Yeah, I mean, it seems a bit insensitive.
A lot of people thought so. And in the end, the lawsuit was dismissed.
So no one's accountable, no explanation for how she got up there, no closure for her family.
It's like the system failed her.
Yeah, on every level.
It's tragic. It shows that sometimes, even with investigations, lawsuits, the truth just stays hidden.
We might never know what happened to Elisa Lam.
And that's a hard thing to accept.
I think that's part of what makes this case so haunting. It's not just how she died, but the fact that we'll probably never have all the answers.
We have these pieces, these glimpses into her life.
But the full picture, it's gone.
And we have to learn to live with that.
It's tempting to get lost in the theories to try to force those pieces together.
But maybe that's just us trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense.
And maybe there's something beautiful in that, in the mystery.
It makes us think, it makes us look at the evidence and come to our own conclusions.
We have to confront the unknown and accept that some stories, they just don't have a neat ending.
And that's okay.
This has been, wow, really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It's made me realize that sometimes looking for the answers is just as important as finding them. We're all kind of playing detective, aren't we? With this case.
Yeah, we've got all the pieces, or at least some of them.
The timeline, the evidence, and we're trying to make it all fit.
And I think that's the draw. It's like a puzzle. It makes us curious.
You want to know what happened.
Yeah, and I think the setting, the Cecil Hotel, it plays a big part in that.
Oh, absolutely. With his reputation and all the other stuff that happened there.
It's hard to ignore,
You can't separate it from Elisa's story.
Exactly. It becomes this symbol
Oh, the mystery.
of the whole case, yeah. This cheap hotel, suicides, murders, serial killers, it's creepy.
It really is. It's like the building itself, it's got this dark energy.
Like it soaked it all up over the years.
It really does feel like the hotel's a character in this whole thing.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the background, it's part of the story.
And that's something you don't always see in true crime,
Right. We focus on the victims, the killers.
But sometimes the place itself, it matters.
It shapes what happens.
It's like, even with all the technology and stuff, some places still have secrets.
And those secrets, sometimes they're not good ones.
So we've got Elisa with her mental health struggles, this hotel with a dark past, that weird elevator video.
And a death that officially was an accident.
But it still doesn't make sense.
So what do we learn from this?
Yeah, what's the takeaway from a case like this?
Well, I think we have to remember to be empathetic,
Towards Elisa.
Yeah, she was a person with her own life, her own hopes and dreams.
And her struggles.
We might never know exactly what happened to her, but she was more than just a mystery.
It's a good reminder that life is fragile.
Mental health is complex.
And we got to be kind to each other.
It's so easy to get caught up in the theories and stuff.
And forget that there was a real person at the heart of it.
And I think we also got to admit, we don't know everything.
Oh, yeah.
We might never have all the answers about what happened to Elisa.
And that's okay, right?
It is. Sometimes the best stories, they leave you with questions.
It's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly.
This whole deep dive, it's been fascinating.
It's a lot to think about.
But it leaves me with more questions than answers, and I think that's okay.
It means you're still curious,
It means we gotta keep asking questions, keep searching for the truth.
even when it's hard to find.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Elisa Lam case.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with another look into the sources you send us.
Until then, keep those questions coming.
Stay curious, and thanks for listening.